The mounds here, on this side of the mountain, look exactly the same as those of the super colony. And so do the ants themselves. The inhabitants of each nest here are all the offspring of its single queen, and the colonies compete aggressively with one another. After the winter hibernation, the territories between that nest over there and this one here have become blurred, and the frontier has to be re-established. And in order to do that, workers from both nests are now scouring the ground. And that brings neighbouring ants into contact for the first time this season. When foragers from the different nests meet, they immediately recognise that they're from rival families. They then dash back to their nests, and within minutes, both colonies know that territory on their frontier is being disputed. Armies assemble. This is war, and the weapons being used are chemical, formic acid. I can smell it in the air. They're squirting it from the ends of their abdomen. And if they can bite their opponents so that the formic acid gets beneath the outer shell of an ant, it will dissolve its internal organs. As they grapple, each tries to restrain its opponent by clamping its jaws around a leg or an antenna. Soldiers from both sides tug at their opponent's limbs. It can take 7 ants to subdue a single enemy. One holds each leg, and the 7th uses its mandibles to cut open sections of their opponent's exoskeleton, exposing the insides. An attacker brings forward its abdomen under its body and squirts acid onto its victim. Battles are going on everywhere. Each colony carries its own chemical badge, invisible to our eyes but clear to the ants' sensitive antennae. Fighters touch each other to confirm whose side they're on. Here and there, individuals clamber up the vegetation. Are they having a rest, or are they surveying progress to see where help is needed? The smell of formic acid reaches the colony, and more ants from both sides run to join the battle. These wars can continue for over a week. At their peak, many thousands are fighting and thousands are killed. The victors will certainly have enlarged their territory. But some say they have also gained other rewards. They're taking off the bodies of their victims and carrying them back to the nest over there to feast upon them. Both sides have suffered heavy losses. For the ants in the meadow, it has been a costly start to the year. Caught in a bizarre trap, these insects are doomed. How they got stuck only becomes apparent as night falls. These strange lights belong to the larvae of a type of gnat. The light is formed by a chemical reaction in the larva's abdomen and can be turned on and off at will. Sticky threads hang from its silk and mucus-laden nest. Insects drawn to the light are ensnared, then devoured. Each glowworm's thread is made up almost entirely of water, so the high rainfall in Tasmania's wet west provides ideal conditions. A picture of peace and serenity. But to survive here, a damselfly is going to need more than those sharp eyes. It needs equally sharp wits. They may have brains less than the size of a pinhead, yet common blues lead a surprisingly complex life. Females are not such a brilliant blue, but when one of them visits the lake, she soon gets noticed. There's no romance. A male simply pounces on her and with no ceremony hooks up. And this one has made it, just. There's stiff competition for any single lady, and she doesn't stay single for long. He clamps himself to her thorax with claspers at the very end of his abdomen. So far, so good. But now he has a problem. His reproductive organs open at the end of his abdomen, and so do hers. So in this position, he can't actually mate with her. But he also has a second set of reproductive organs, a kind of holding pouch halfway up his body that he's already filled with sperm from the main sex organs at the tip of his tail. But it will take some extraordinary agility for the pair to consummate this union. The female now has to swing her abdomen forward so that she can reach up to collect the sperm from his secondary organs. And he tries to help her as much as he can. There we are. Together, the mating couple form a romantic heart shape. But there's a ruthless side to this tender moment. The male's secondary sex organs are not only storage pouches, they also contain a device unique to dragons and damsels. It's a probe with 2 hooks on the end. With this, he's able to scoop out any sperm that she may have acquired from her previous mating, and so ensure that he will be the father of her young. Now, the male needs her to lay her eggs quickly before another male comes along and scoops out his sperm. He tries to lift off with the female still attached, but she seems reluctant to leave, even with the male at full throttle. He tries to persuade her with a sharp bite to the head. But no, she's clearly not impressed by him or his pickup technique. And there are plenty of other males around. All she has to do is to wait. Here's another male. She nips her first partner's tail, and after all his effort, he gives up. And she flies off with her new partner. Males will jump on any female they spot, but females are much more choosy. Her former partner's sperm is scooped out, and the new couple fly off together to lay their eggs. Undaunted, our lonely male sets out to look for a more willing partner.
The profound dark of the new moon enhances the display of fireflies in the mangrove trees. The males synchronously flash their desire. It was thought that the males were cooperating to make a bigger, better display. But why would they do such a thing? They are competing with each other. It turns out that the females have a preference for the male that displays first. In trying to make the initial flash, all the males end up displaying in near-perfect synchrony. The effect is mesmeric. The fireflies are minuscule, less than 6 millimeters, yet they're so bright they can be seen from hundreds of meters away.
The story unfolds in a remarkable location, on young stalks of bamboo. Butterflies were seen hanging out with ants on the tips of bamboo stalks, which is very odd because ants usually attack butterflies and attempt to eat them. The bamboo itself is part of the mystery. Not many things can eat its tough, woody cellulose. But Aaron began searching for just the right young stalks and made a fascinating discovery. Tiny ants swarm all over the stalks, drinking a sugary nectar seeping from tips of the shoots. And in the leaves at the base of the bamboo, he discovered caterpillars. Ants hover over them in a relationship that was new to science. The tiny caterpillars belong to a rare butterfly called Adelotypa annulifera, and are closely guarded by ferocious ants. Then Aaron noticed that the caterpillars too were drinking the bamboo sap, all the while under the protection of the ants. The caterpillars earn this security service by producing a sweet nectar of their own from the bamboo sap. And the ants seem to prize this most of all. In fact, many different kinds of ants are eager to join the caterpillar's private security force. All Aaron needed to complete the story was the butterfly, the adult the caterpillars would become. They too come to bamboo to sip the nectar, in a rare instance of butterflies and their caterpillars relying on the same food. The nectar appears to fuel their entire lives. And amazingly, the ants allow it. It's the only example we know of where ants and butterflies feed together.
The strangler teams up with a minuscule wasp, one just 2 millimeters long. Its flowers are locked away inside the figs, with a single hole, the only way in. This female fig wasp sacrifices her wings to enter. She'll never fly again, but then she'll never leave. As she lays her eggs in the flowers, the strangler seals the entrance shut. This is the final act of her life. She will die in here. The fig transforms as flowers and wasp eggs develop. Male wasps emerge first. He has no wings, for he will never leave. His life has 2 goals. The first, to mate with his younger sisters. He bites his way in and inseminates them with his telescopic penis. Task 1 complete. He now digs an escape route. it's not for him, for he will soon die. Inside, his sisters now emerge. Already mated, they head for the exit. While they developed, so too did the fig's flowers. As they leave, they're brushed with pollen. They escape from the tunnels dug by their dead brothers. They'll live for 2 days. In that time, they must find another strangler ready to receive them. The 2mm wasps can fly 50 kilometers over the canopy, drawn in by the scent of receptive figs. When they arrive, they enter to lay their eggs, and at the same time, pollinate the flowers. The cycle begins again. The strangler fig and the wasp depend entirely on each other, a bizarre partnership over 60 million years in the making.
Trees and abandoned barns also provide housing for pollinators. For instance, the leafcutter bee. Observation nests help Thais study these bees. They are sometimes considered a pest to ornamental plants, but in fact, they are important pollinators, with a life cycle very different from honeybees. The leafcutter female earns her name by cutting little pieces from leaves to build a nest. She uses the leaves to build separation walls, and later plasters them with mud in preparation for her offspring. Only then can she begin to do the bee's work, look for pollen. Eventually, she returns with loads of pollen sticking to her belly. It will serve as supplies for the larvae that will eventually develop in each chamber of her nest. That is, unless she isn't raided by another type of bee, a parasitic Coelioxys bee. Like a cuckoo bird, these bees lay their eggs in ready-made nests and let their offspring thrive on other bees' hard work. But in this case, the leafcutter bee stands her ground.
But one creature is ruthless in its determination to fight and protect its home turf. Weaver ants. colony can eliminate millions of victims each year. Alone, they're amongst the smallest creatures in the forest. Together, they're one of its most formidable armies, capable of manipulating their environment. They're able to occupy virtually any and every part of the forest, from the leaf litter to the treetops. When it comes to building their camp, their complex displays of teamwork are unrivaled anywhere else in the natural world. Gripping leaves with their legs and jaws, they pull the greenery together. Holding tight, they wait for the others in the colony to stitch the leaves together. Ant larvae are brought up to the joins, where a gentle squeeze elicits a gossamer of silk. Moving back and forth, the ants create a living loom, weaving these walls together with a sheet of silk. Creating a perfectly camouflaged base camp, from which the colony will send out its raiding parties, leaving one of nature's oldest societies to flourish.
And that wealth of species supports vast numbers of insects, including over 2,000 different kinds of butterflies. The iridescent morpho males will patrol forest streams, trying to drive off other males and attract a female. Mineral salts can be in short supply in tropical forests, but they are essential for growth. So, many species of butterfly gather at evaporating puddles along the rivers. The butterflies suck up the salty water. They concentrate the salt in their bodies and pump out the excess water. What is peculiar about this mass of butterflies is that they are all males. They will use the salts as a gift for the females when they mate. It's thought that the salts are important for the correct development of the eggs. But the mystery is, why doesn't the female gather the salts herself? The salts may be important for breeding, but most butterflies feed from flowers, like this bromeliad. This is a very ancient and successful relationship. The butterfly transfers the plant's pollen and receives nectar as a reward. But butterflies have one weakness as messengers. They are fair weather flyers. When it's cloudy or rains, they have to find somewhere to shelter. This sophisticated remote sensing kit belongs to a cockroach. It can detect the slightest air movement. Lightning reactions and an impressive turn of speed keeps a roach one step ahead of us. And 6 legs makes for a perfect all-terrain vehicle. Another deceptively sophisticated creature, the amazing fly. In flight, flies are gyroscopically stabilized, and their complex eyes take in information faster than ours. Flies see our world in slow motion. On the ground, they unfold complex mouthparts, releasing saliva to liquefy solid food and then slurping up the resulting broth. Yet most of us don't appreciate how exquisite these unloved bugs really are. Our usual reactions are just the opposite.
Thank you for watching. Did you like this video? Tell us in the comments, and please like, share, and subscribe to the Terra channel. Until next time.